Today, every day, small cap investors visit Agoracom knowing this is the day to discover the world's next great company, to have their dreams come true. That's why I take to the open road, to find them, to tell their stories, to engage them, to bring them to life, because they want to connect with you from your office, your phone, your home, anywhere. Agoracom, find your dream.
Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives about recent important press releases. With us today, I'm ecstatic to have again Bernard Tourillon, Chairman and CEO of HPQ Silicon Resources. As you know, the company trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol HPQ, and for our friends in Germany, Frankfurt UGE. Now, for those of you who are new to the company, and there's going to be a lot of you because this company keeps putting out great news, HPQ is planning to become a vertically integrated producer of solar-grade silicon metal and a solar cell producer. They're focused on developing a disruptive one-step, high-purity, and solar-grade silicon metal manufacturing process. That sounds like a lot, but more than just lip service, its partners include PyroGenesis Canada, which is a global leader in plasma torch technologies, as well as Apollon Solar, one of the world's leaders in renewable energies. If the company does this right, they're aiming to reduce capital costs and operating costs by as much as 90%, creating cost advantages never seen before in the industry, as well as a greatly decreased carbon footprint, energy footprint, and eliminating the use of toxic chemicals in the solar space. Here to talk about their latest headlines is Bernard. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, George.
Bernard, earlier today you announced, and pardon me that I'm reading the headline, HPQ reports significant commercial scale-up milestones from the Gen2 PUREVAP. Before we get into the kind of the technical side of the press release, it's become a tradition now because you keep hitting more and more milestones. The first question is going to be, how happy are you, HPQ and PyroGenesis and Apollon, with these results?
We are ecstatic by them, and what this demonstrates is that the process works at an industrial level. Okay, we're the only one in the world that have this little baby machine, the Gen2 PUREVAP, that allows us basically to test the commercial scalability of the process, and it's paying off tremendously. And it's just beginning. It's payoff for us.
The payoff. Let me ask you a question. We know that Apollon brings a third-party validation. We know that PyroGenesis brings a third-party validation. Are you starting to get noticed in the marketplace?
Yeah, we are. As we move forward with commercial scalability, what people have to understand is that we're literally, as far as I can tell, all right, the only process in the world that can take quartz, okay, transform it to silicon metal and purify it at the same time, all right? Our baseline results to date, okay, always talk about doing 3N plus Si. 3N plus Si is a higher quality than any material being presently produced by any silicon metal manufacturer in 1 or 2, 3-step processes. It is also such a difficult material that it is a higher purity than what is used right now for the Siemens process, but no metallurgic plant in the world is capable of having more than 15% of that output at 99.5 or 99.6 Si, okay? We, on a regular basis, produce at least 3N. Probably more. We're not really bothered too much about testing it above for operation.
And how come, by the way? And how come, because purity used to be a really big emphasis for you, how come now it's not as big an emphasis? Is it because you know you got it?
We know how we're going to get it at the end, and we know what are the crucial steps to get it. Okay, we issued a very clear report which said if we can attain, all right, if we can attain commercial production yield, which is around 90%, okay, we should be producing, just with the carbothermic process, pretty darn close to 5N Si, which is unheard of, all right? So our focus right now is validating the commercial scalability of the process.
Okay.
And once we've reached the maximum threshold of the machine, which we thought we had reached in February, and now we realize we haven't, we can still do better.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that because
we can do better. Then we'll go back and work on purity, okay? In the sense that we'll focus more on that purity. But it's not an issue for us for two reasons. With our discussion with Apollon, where we are in the process, where we're going to be going, we have a game plan how we're going to get there. We feel very comfortable we'll be able to produce it. Right now, our focus is what? De-risking the project. What does that mean? Well, validating that the lab machine that work can be built at an industrial scale. That is the really big key. And we've been able with the Gen2 to start validating that process right now.
Okay, and let's get to some numbers then, because you're saying that we got to back that up with numbers. So there are two things you talk about in this press release that you focus on. That's production yield and total mass.
Yep.
Right, total mass yield. All right. Is either one of them more important than the other, or are they both equally as important?
For us right now, it's production yield, because production yield, okay, will impact total mass, okay? Because production yield is what we don't transform into quartz is volatilized and it's taken away in the system. So it disappears, okay? You have a certain formula, you put the material and how much you transform into it. The rest that you don't transform, you lose, it goes up goes out in the reject and it becomes, heated gases and flows out.
Sure, like a farmer. At the end of the day, you have 100 acres and you want to maximize your yield of corn you get out of that 100 acres.
Exactly.
Right, so let's talk about that, because you gave me the quote is, production yield was a staggering accomplishment considering the Gen2 PUREVAP reactor physical limitations. So specifically, your production yield was 34.3%, which is a big number if you just think about the farming example for everyone to think you can get 34% yield that you land at this stage.
Yeah, and it's a small number compared to 90% that I was talking about before. So it's just.
But here's the part that's both a blow away, but I gotta grill you on. One is, it's obviously the highest to date. It's 2.5 times higher than your previous record of 13.4%. Now, in the last interview we did, and I went back and checked on this, you said something to the effect of, the maximum yield we're going to get out of the Gen2, George, is 15% plus or minus 2%.
Yep.
You hit 34.3%, which accounts for the, quote, a staggering accomplishment, considering the Gen2 limitations. What happened? Did you guys discover that you're better at doing this, or the machine is better than doing it than you originally thought? It's a great accomplishment. How do you account for it?
What happened was, both statements are factually correct, all right? When we mentioned about the 15 plus or minus 3, that was with a series of variables that were consistent from Gen 1 that we could repeat in everywhere else, all right? Then the engineers at Pyro had to believe that they could play with at least one parameter, because we can only play with one parameters at the time.
Right, in order to eliminate what's working,
basically what's going on. Because what we're doing fundamentally right now is we are taking that PUREVAP Gen2 system and we're beating it to the maximum, all right? For the very simple, we basically run it until we can break it. And the reason why we do that is very fundamental. Originally, our plan was to do that with the big machine. So if you break the big machine, it's expensive, and the turnaround time and the stop times, it takes a long time. With the small machine, we push it to the extreme limitation until something breaks in it. And then we says, okay, this is where we don't extend that limit. But we only play with one variable at the time. Okay? So based on the first series of variable data that we were playing, we got it to XYZ, which is what we announced, 13.5, 15. So that number is accurate. Then the engineers at Pyro had a hunch, scientific belief that we could play with one variable that could give us best results. So we got this phenomenal results, which is 34% yield, which is a lot of material, 100 gram. You guys got to remember that in 2016, when we started this, we were producing nothing more than small materials on top of my fingernail. Okay, now we're up to producing 100 gram. Okay. When you consider the size of the machine, the operation cycles, and everything else, it's fantastic.
Were you guys blown away? Were you guys blown away by that yield before we get to the mass of 100?
Yeah. We were blown away by the. How can I say this? It's like in any R&D project. Okay, you have a hypothesis. If you do X, Y, Z, you should be getting those results. That's what the guys at Pyro were thinking. But until you've done it, it's a hypothesis. Now we've done it. We understand a lot. This is literally a proof of concept of the commercial scalability of the process. We've started, all right, and the market doesn't give us credit for that. That's fine. It's a levy. But we have started the process of validating the commercial scalability of the process.
And that's why I wanted to ask you, like that number, that big jump to 34.3%, does that now put 90 within your grasp? Because
at this moment, we will reach, like the 15% with the first thing, we'll reach a plateau with those series of it. At this moment, we're not exactly sure where is that plateau. Okay? We know the minimum is 34. Where is it going to be? I don't know. So we're going to do more tests. But as I keep telling you, we're pushing the machine to the maximum. Sometimes we break a few pieces.
But your level of confidence of getting to 90 has climbed exponentially. It's not, you're not guaranteeing it. I'm not actually
we never had any doubt that we could do it at the bigger machine. Okay? One of those reasons was some of the modification we were thinking of doing that we couldn't do with the Gen 1, but we could do it with the Gen 2. We've proven that. So, but we're going to start taking what we have here, and then we're going to push it in the Gen 3 and keep moving in parallel. But the beauty of the Gen 2 is we will always have the Gen 2 ready and operational to do more tests and getting moving and getting and pushing in different direction as we get the pilot plant operational. So it's, it will, you know, we're incredibly lucky. We get more and more industry people that are fascinated by our process, as I told you, because we can do 3N literally out of with shit material. That we have a lot of people that want to, you know, for us to start testing their material and our process to start thinking, is the PUREVAP process for us? So eventually, once we have finished our own internal testing, what we're trying to do, we're probably going to start doing those tests. Hey, if it allows us to do more tests and somebody else pays for it, we'll be happy for it.
Do you think that's plausible or just hoping?
I think it's plausible, but the interest that we're receiving makes it plausible.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Next question. Let's go on to total mass. 101.45 grams. Let's call it 101.5.
Mm-hmm.
That's 11 times bigger than the 8.8 grams in Gen 1. And again, 3.6 times bigger than what Gen 2 did last time around at 28.1 grams. So
or if I wanted to be really promotional, like 20,000 times bigger than the first freaking gram we did. You know, it's like at one point, it's just a number. What you have to take a look is that using a similar process, we started 1.1 gram, we went to 8.1 gram, to 14 grams, to 28 grams, to 100 gram. Look at the chart, we're going up.
Is 100 a big milestone? Is 100 grams a big milestone?
It's neither big but it's a fun milestone. We're now the 3-digit, okay? But our goal is commercial scale, operational, it's bigger than this. But obviously, in the confine of the Gen 2, it's big. You know, it'd be fun if we got higher production yield. I'm more focused on production yield. Okay, really much more focused on production yield, and on another parameters that we're not presented because it sort of becomes like freaking complicated. But basically, it's the speed at which we create, you know, the materials, another parameter. We're pretty happy with those results.
Is that speeding up as well? I don't think you report.
Yeah. Well, by default, our testing parameters have a finite time frame. Okay, so you know it doesn't take a genius to figure out if you're increased production yield, producing more material. That's because you're transforming more faster in your material than before. It's just simple logic.
Now, shareholders are, you know, okay, they like these numbers. They sound great. It sounds like your industry interest is coming. Fantastic. Clearly, you got Apple along yourselves and PowerGen's at the table. Three very capable, you know, parties. We now know this. This isn't your first time at the dance, so everyone's happy. So that's awesome. That's great. You say in the press release, there's a quote here, with every milestone reached, we are de-risking our project. We're de-risking the project. How much de-risking have you taken out of the project now? You know, how much more comfortable are you now? Even though you're not at the ultimate comfort because you haven't got your ultimate goal yet, you know, how much risk did this next step take out of the project?
It's hard to give a number for two reasons. Okay, if we take a look at risk in the sense of total failure risk, I think we've eliminated that significantly, like massively. And the reason why I say that is that 3N market, okay, is already a pretty darn sexy market, pretty big market. It's not our end product and everything else, but as Peter's correctly stated, that would be a significant market enough to make a very viable industry out of what we're doing. Okay.
Well, right now, for people who are new, you've already got a business if you can't improve any further.
Yeah, but
you can get to a quality and a purity of a product that you could find a market for that's well beyond what you could have sold raw quartz for on the back of a truck.
Well, yeah, the back of the quartz worth 5 cents a kilogram. Okay, maybe this material, a 3N, is worth about $2,500 to $3,000 a ton. It's not a bad move. The other thing people have to remember is we know that at 90% production yield, we'll be up to 5N. Right? That's an even more difficult product to do. So
if you get there, do you blow away everybody in the? I mean, let's talk hypothetically where it's not. If you get to 90% yield 5N purity, is that unheard of right now in the space?
In the number of steps we are attaining to reach that goal, yes.
Right. And other people, like the Siemens process, has more steps and so on and so forth. But we know from your last press release with the blockchain in order for the carbon credits that it's a much dirtier process at the end of the day. So they can get there, but it's much more expensive and much dirtier at the end of the day.
Yeah, and there's a constraint that people don't seem to understand. It's probably because the solar industry it's a big industry, but it's a small industry at the same time. And there are many limitations to growth in the solar industries. One of them is they made at the beginning. A lot of people made the unrealistic expectation that prices of silicon would only go up. All right. So because of that, hasn't been the case for many years. Actually, it's been going down. And investment in new technologies to do what we're doing hasn't been there. Our approach
return is solar has a return. People put their money somewhere else.
George, I've explained that, and I think I've explained that to them in an interview. All right, the upgraded metallurgic route that we are doing, all right, works. It's been done. It's been proven. The only reason why it hasn't become the standard is because it's too expensive. It's the same price as doing the Siemens. So there is no, for the small cost saving you get on the operational side, the OpEx don't make it. Okay. So once you combine all these things together, and when you realize that the traditional process is probably 20 steps to get there, okay? So if we can get to a solar step in 5 to 10 steps, we'll be a winner, all right? Now we are taking the first steps, which is proving that our Gen 2, okay, can scale up to 90% at pilot plant. And from then on, we will be moving on purities. But the beauty of the way we've designed our program is that we're actually working concurrent projects at the same time, concurrent R&D projects at the same time. It doesn't appear to be a lot if you take a look at the market, but it's massive, the information that we're getting and where we're going in it, okay? So there is a lead time before the bulk of the understanding of what we're doing is going to come out. But I have no reason to doubt it. Okay? We have a very viable worst case business plan of just making 3 to 5N, because that's the carbothermic process just getting there. Even 5N material is extremely difficult to make. Right? Are we going to go right now, try to value that and chase it? No, because at this moment, when we looked our R&D forward-looking vision, we don't see any reason why we cannot attain solar cells. Apollon does not see any reason why we cannot attain solar cells. So why should I start focusing on, you know, it's like, why should I focus on drilling a properties when the freaking quartz is cheap to buy? Why should I waste money there? Why should I focus myself on building a traditional metallurgic grade silicon metal just to sell to sign an offshoot agreement with somebody that needs Siemens process for it? I could do it, but why? You know, I know it's feasible. I know it's there. Cool. Let's keep moving. Nothing has changed from our vision from the beginning. The only thing that's changed is we have more and more empirical data is telling us we're heading in the right direction. Is it today that the market's going to wake up to that reality? Was it tomorrow, next week? Don't know. Me?
Yeah, we can't talk about the market.
My job?
With the market, but I've seen it before. Once the market agrees, or not agrees, once the market sees it, and you get past the point of no return, it's kaboom, and Agoracom's been around long enough to see that happen. But we won't talk about that.
Yeah, it's sort of like it will happen when it'll happen.
Yeah,
it will happen when it'll happen. Right now, we are doing what we said we are doing. Okay, we're advancing the milestone, and we're de-risking the project. We have this incredible little tool which gives us a commercial. We're having a commercial scalability proof of concept testing ongoing.
Now let me go with that.
Yeah.
So you've talked about that. So we're there. You talk about, you know, at some point you're going to reach the limitations of Gen 2, right? Do you have any better sense of when you're moving to pilot plant at some stage? You have any sense of that yet?
We keep talking by the end of Q4 2018. We'll switch over to the bigger. We'll start switching over to the bigger machine. But as I said, we will keep the Gen 2 operational, either for specific client run tests or for specific data point that we want to check. That's the beauty of the Gen 2. It's a machine that allows us, it's sort of funny, it's sort of an ongoing joke that's ongoing with pyrogenesis and us, you know, they push the machine, something breaks, and then they go back to the design team, make a big sign, don't do that. And then we go back and work again. That's literally what we're doing. Imagine, and how can I say this? I'd like to.
And you're achieving great results, so everyone's having a lot of fun, I got to presume.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, we would have been doing every one of these tests with a big machine, which would have cost us a fortune. So I'd like to say we were brilliant in planning this out, but it evolved that way because we're not stuck up on this result. We know where we're going. We're letting the science dictate how we move. We partner with industry leaders, okay? And we listen to what they say. We don't have a preconceived idea.
A lot of people, I gotta tell you.
Huh?
Your confidence is scary, I got to tell you.
Well, it's not a question of scary. It's like, We've been doing that. We started this in 2015. I know it was a crazy dream at that time, but now I'm understanding much more. George, everybody is excited about the solar business because they don't understand it's not really green and everything else. I went and met somebody today. She said, oh, I want to put solar panel on my house. How does that work? Everybody has that focus of wanting the solar panel to do. Now, how do we get there? One of the ways to get that is to reducing the price, reducing the value. The blockchain idea is going to allow to give visibility to the green side to it, okay? But fundamentally, it is our process that is going to start changing that.
I'm not even going to ask you because I keep thinking about it, and I'll just let people kind of think about it for themselves at home, I guess. But if you want to answer, go ahead. Maybe I will ask you, but you know, at the end of the day, if you achieve, the three of you achieve what you're thinking that you're going to potentially achieve, are we talking about a global scale phenomenon here, potentially?
Not to sound pretentious, but yes. Oh, then again, I'll get criticized for being pretentious. I know. I got my small group of fans that really love to complain.
Those complaints are getting less and less. You know, they're getting less and less.
I seriously couldn't care less. It's sort of comic relief, you know. It's like
on Agoracom, the conversation is fantastic, though.
Yes, no, I completely agree.
Not as much as the crazy talk, so quality over quantity. But I keep telling everyone, get to Agoracom. Look at the results that you're putting out. Talk to Peter. Talk to Bernard. You know, why listen to a bunch of crazy people at the end of the day at other places who try and say ridiculous things? I'd rather listen to Apollon and Pyrogenesis and Bernard and everyone at HPQ as opposed to, you know, a bunch of crazy people online. So last question, so we don't go too far overboard, because this has been an amazing interview. What's next? Is there another, I'm assuming you've already launched or you've been in the process of another set of tests? Any idea when more results will be coming out?
They come out. They don't come out like listen, like we gave result test number 17. Now we're up to test number 14. There'll be more tests. In my internal mind, I think we're close to 1/3 done of the PUREVAP tests.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
So we're probably close to 1/3 done, maybe 1.5. Eventually, we will go back to working on doing specific purity enhancing process, but as long as we're getting increasing yield, you know, we'll keep working on this because we are starting to get what we consider internally to be preliminary, like industrial type results. The way the material is being produced, the way it's coming out, the way it's everything else. You know, and we're learning the limitations of the machine.
Buddy, thanks for joining us today. You know, you put the news out earlier today, and it's at the end of the day because you have to run around run the company and do things you have to do. But as always, I keep telling people on Agoracom and people who are watching this somewhere else that CEOs don't come on to video where it's recorded and have that kind of confidence unless they believe it. They've got the numbers to back it up. They know their story. So I love what you guys are doing, Bernard. We've been with you from the beginning of this process. You've done a great service to your shareholders up until now, and knock on wood, you know, fingers crossed that that's going to continue. And look, if I had to say it objectively, there's you guys who've been able to execute to this point, Pyrogenesis, Apollon. It's hard to see you guys failing at this point, but we still got to wait for the ultimate conclusion to the journey. But this press release was a fantastic one, and I hope everyone at home really understands that, given what you had to say in this interview.
I hope these chats after the press release help to give more depth, because it's difficult in words to give depth to it, give perception to it. You know. There's always going to be detractor, but to be totally honest, we know where we're going, and we're going there. You can either participate, jump in, stay on the sideline, do whatever you want.
At this point, see, that's the confidence that's scary, right? Do whatever you want. We know what we have. If you want to join us, great. If you want to go chase something else, knock yourself out. That kind of confidence is scary, man. It really is.
Let me say at the beginning, it was hopeful wishes. Now it's calm confidence.
We'll end it with that. You've been watching Bernard Tourillon, Chairman, CEO of HPQ Silicon Resources, trades on the Venture Exchange under the stock symbol HPQ, and for our friends in Germany on Frankfurt under UGE. Once you finish watching this video, if you're new to the story, get to Agoracom. Watch the interviews over the past 6 months, 12 months, 24 months if you want to dig into your due diligence. But it's all there for you. Start posting on Agoracom. Talk to your fellow shareholders. Most importantly, you've got Bernard as your resource. Ask questions, get your answers, create this great community of smart people who are trying to actually make their best investment decision possible, and you can't go wrong. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Bernard, thanks for being here. Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you soon.